What is up, everybody? Welcome back. This is part 2 of our 351 budget build. We are doing a budget build that's kind of oriented towards my 89 foxbody and a 351 Windsor that I picked up very cheap. If you haven't seen in part 1, go ahead and check it out. Our goal is 600 wheel horsepower, and in this part 2 video, we are going to do a lot of prep work to the block. Nothing too crazy. Get the deck surfaced, get the cylinders cleaned up, deglazed, ready for a new ring set, a new piston, and other parts we have showing up day by day. Be patient, guys. I'm doing this kind of like when I got time. Also kind of figuring out this whole YouTube thing. So now that I got the ball rolling and I kind of got the idea about what I want to do with my videos, things are going to start coming out more often. And with that, enjoy the video. What we're going to do today is get this deck surface cleaned up in preparation for a multi-layer steel gasket. But we're going to clean up this deck surface. We're going to get it basically down to a fine finish and get all this milling off of here and everything in preparation for the MLS gasket. Also, we're going to clean up all this crud, all this up in here, and remove all the old gaskets. This thing's still very clean on the inside. Try to take in consideration that I'm going to clean this motor 2 or 3 times. So if you don't see me, fill every little bolt hole or cover up every little passage, understand that this is going to be gone through probably 2 or 3 times before it's actually put together. Without further ado, we're going to take this scrub-free oven cleaner and throw it on there, let it sit for maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Now, from what I read online, you're not supposed to let this dry. So we're going to see what this does. I got faith in it. But this block, it's drying right now, but man, this block is so clean. Oven cleaner in my book, it takes a cake. Hold on. I even found a remanufacturer stamp. Companies that reman motors put these stamps on their motors for warranty claims. So this motor is reman, and all the bearings and everything else had late 90s on it. And this stamp right there, this definitely tells me that somebody bought this from like a reman company. Now the second that you finish this and you decide it's clean enough, you're gonna put it in the sun and rinse it off thoroughly. I even took a toothbrush and that other brush I had, put Dawn dish soap on it, scrubbed it, sprayed the motor down again. And right after that, I hit all the cylinders, all of the lifter bores, all the cam bearings, all the bases where the main bearings sit, just so they won't flash rust. WD-40, I mean, whatever you got on hand will work. Waiting on some stuff to come in the mail to do the next part, but while we wait, I'm going to go ahead and do a deglazing process. Now when I say the word deglazing, what I'm referring to is a finish that's in the cylinders itself. Almost like a mirror-like finish. Also, you see a lot of ring flutter, and this typically happens when the honing process isn't done right, or when the break-in process wasn't correct, or when you use a certain honing process and don't use the right rings. And this is what we're going to be using today. Just basic Harbor Freight drill. Harbor Freight 3-prong honing tool. And I like this opposed to a ball hone because you can adjust the stiffness through this dial here, adjust the springs, and allows you to kind of get a different feel for what you're doing. And And also what I'm using for lubricant here is just a mixture of ATF and motor oil together in the spray bottle. We're going to give each cylinder probably 10 strokes. I'm going to try to give it 1 stroke per second. And also the speed is going to be about medium, between high and between low. And we're going to do that and just kind of work our way up. Now I got the stiffness real low right now because I don't want to go too high and then not end up liking what we got. Take your acetone, put it on a paper mechanics towel preferably, and wipe each cylinder thoroughly. You want to do this before you start your honing process because you don't want any dirt or debris or any kind of foreign objects in that cylinder before you start running this. Now this is about wipe 1, wipe 2, and wipe 3. This is the last one. You want it pretty much clean, and you can fold this towel, you could flip it over and keep going. That way you're not just going through your towels like crazy. I hope y'all trust me, because I don't know what I'm about to do. We're about to get into it.
Anticon.
So what I'm going to do now between each cycle on each cylinder is take this hone and stick it in a bucket of soapy water and spin it forward and backwards just to clean out the stones, get any old metal out of it. We're going to keep wiping the cylinders in between each hone. This first pass went pretty good with the spring pressure on pretty light. You don't want the spring pressure too high just off rip because you don't know what it's going to do until you start. So you always start off light and then work your way up. For this next part of this video, I did something for my deck surface, something that's called lapping. Lapping is a technique where you use something that's known to be flat to clean up your deck surface for the use of gasket, regardless of a MLS or a composite head gasket. What I found was that you can call marble and tile stores, they might have something laying around. You want something that's grade A or B and that's known to be flat, but unfortunately all the stores I called wanted to kind of charge me around $200 to $300 for something like that because they know what it is. Also, machine shops can deck metal for you, and machine shops want around $200 to have a basic piece of metal decked. What I ended up coming up with and finding is that ceramic tile is known to be pretty flat, and that's what I ended up picking up. Smooth ceramic tile is flatter than a rough finish typically. So that's what I picked up, a piece of a ceramic tile. Worked out good for me. You'll want to get some 400 grit that has an adhesive backing and stick that onto your tile. You'll want to create a surface that the gasket can bite into. And my technique was to start with left to right, and then do like a kind of crisscross motion one way and then the other way and kind of go back and forth. In between sets of doing that, I would take my sandpaper off, probably grab a new piece, or if I could, I was able to clean it off and reuse it. Now, machinists and experts of caliber for engine building and stuff like that, try not to come for me in the comments about this one. This is something that I did on the low, and this is something I just did real quick, knowing that my deck surface was straight. So what you'll see in the next couple clips is my deck surface after hitting it with 400 grit for about 30 minutes, alternating different patterns along the way. So now that we got this deck surface cleaned up, got most of the gasket material off, and got a good cross hatch on here, something that a head gasket can clamp onto. Essentially, the deck surface is a bare metal, and also the cylinder bores. While we're in here, I'm just gonna go ahead and lube it up with some motor oil I had laying around, and that will keep the cylinders and the deck surface from flash rusting while you wait to assemble your motor. And for reference, here's the other side. I didn't go too crazy with this, just kind of knocked off all the gasket material. There's some etching in here, stuff like that I'm not worried about. I can't grab it with my fingernail when I run it across it. But like I said, we're going to keep these bores lubed up and keep the deck surface lubed up to avoid flash rust. Don't really judge this yet. These bore surface is a little rough right now. I had to knock down some of the high and low spots before we give it a final 320 grit. Ready for our Molly rings. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but depending on the ring set that you're going to use for your piston, that depicts what grit you need in your cylinder bores. If you don't choose the right cylinder bore grit for your rings, you won't get a proper seal. You'll end up with ring damage. Make sure you do your research based off of what your application is going to be. So now that we got our deck surfaces and cylinder bores oiled up, used motor oil. Initially I tried ATF, but the ATF would not stay in the cylinder bores long enough, and I did develop a small kind of flash rust. Cleaned up the bores again, and I keep that 520 motor oil in each bore and on the deck surface. It tends to stay there longer, and like I said, I do this probably every 2 or 3 days. Just kind of check on it, re-lube it up until the point to where I get ready for assembly. Now that I've done this preparation, I'm going to take this garbage bag, cover up the motor, and tie it off in the bottom, just to try to keep some kind of moisture and debris off of the motor. So that's pretty much it for now. I got the deck prepped, I got the bores prepped, still waiting on a 320 grit ball hone to show up so I can do a finish hone on all the cylinders. I hit it with about 180 grit to start off, just to get the high and low spots knocked down. Got everything oiled up and wrapped up in our bag, and that's going to stay like that periodically, a day or two. I'll go back and check it just to make sure we don't have any flash rust developing. I'll show you guys what I got showing up. Ordered a bunch of parts for part 3, the assembly of this 351 Windsor. I got some Speed Pro flat top pistons, standard bore. This is basically a flat top with valve reliefs. It's got a floating wrist pin. It came with Molly rings. Got this whole piston and ring set up for $232. I got us some Speed Pro main bearings, and I got us some Federal Mughal rod bearings. This is all kind of old new stock stuff, so it's old but still in packaging. The part's still considered new. Got a really good deal on both of these bearings. I want to say 40 bucks for both of them. And we are going to go take our stock 351 Windsor rods and pistons, separate the two, come back and throw these pistons on there. But you guys won't see that to part 3. All right guys, that is the end of part 2. Thanks for watching. Stick around for part 3, the assembly of this 351 Windsor. Here and there we've been getting parts coming in the mail. We got our pistons, we got our rings, we got our rod bearings, and we got our main bearings. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do for oil pan. I think I'm going to go with a high volume oil pump, and we got to get link bar lifters, intake manifold, kind of pretty much everything still. But stay patient. Been trying to find some of this stuff through the grapevine, kind of through marketplace and kind of word of mouth, before I just decide to pull the trigger and buy something new. I'm trying to do this on a real budget here for you guys, so maybe this is something that you guys can get a real world experience of what you can do yourself and do on a budget. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.